and all that fun stuff. I don't know. From the very outset of everything that happens with Donald Trump these days, I'm just thinking witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. They just keep creating more things to come after this man on. They never let anything go, and yet he prevails, which is the interesting part here. And I can't help but think, he's going to prevail through whatever's happening right now, because I've seen an overwhelming amount of support come out, through the news, but just in looking at the general public after this guilty verdict came through. So I don't know what exactly the justice system at large was working to do here. I can't imagine that somebody who was going to be a Trump supporter or is a Trump supporter in this next election is going to have their mind changed by the fact that we've got a guilty verdict here. I've got to imagine there's some sort of bigger plan at play here. But in the wake of this news coming out, the donations coming in for Donald Trump were astounding. You had people donating $800,000, $300,000, normal average Americans throwing in $1,000, $3,000. And I believe he got over $30 million in campaign donations in the wake of this coming out, because I think people recognize what's happening here is that they will, by any means necessary, try to get rid of this man and sort of paint a picture of him that the public dislikes, and they're having a real hard time having anything stick. And that's how I've been in reading this news, really from the outside. I haven't been too deeply invested in it. I'm not looking through all the laws and legislation that they're coming after him with. All I'm thinking as an outsider who isn't, too invested in all of this is just, again, there's another thing you're trying to get him on again, because you can't really get him where it matters. And yet the American people are still standing by this man. And I'll raise my hand, when it comes down to him and Joe Biden, I'm voting for Donald Trump. I'm voting for Trump. Okay, he has my vote, even if he's, in the clanger. The man has got my vote. The new felon, has my vote, because what do I care about? I care about what's happening in the country. I'm, as bad as it is or whatever to falsify business documents, if that even is the case in what's happened here. I care about, immigration, building a wall at our southern border. I care about the crime that's currently taking place in this country. I care about the fact that when I leave my apartment to go and walk my dog, that there are, angry homeless men just screaming out into the ether, standing right outside my door. I care about inflation and the economy. I care about the fact that we're sending billions of dollars in foreign aid to other countries rather than helping the people who are living right here. I care about children, their safety. I care about what they're being taught in school. I care about all the gender ideology that's currently being pushed into our country. I care about the fact that our higher education systems are failing, and really our public education systems are failing in general. And all of these things I feel like are going to be tackled by Donald Trump, or at least attempted to be tackled by Donald Trump, and none of them by the one and only Joe Biden. So yeah, 34 counts. He's been found guilty. Big whoop, baby. I'm not taking that to the ballot box. I'm gonna be so for real with you right now. I'm really not.
Yeah, I mean, well, what more can you say? It's clear. I think most Americans are probably where you're at with this, is in that they care about real issues that they're seeing every day that are affecting their lives. They care about their children and what they're being taught in school. They care about the border and rampant crime and all the things you just listed. And they're not too invested in the political back and forth. And I think all of us, for the most part, are just exasperated with politics in general in the U.S. And we just would like to see some of the crazy issues in the economy and the border and public safety and in education and all this stuff just addressed in some way, and not so much in this political back and forth and the fighting and this guy and that guy. And look, Trump wasn't my preferred candidate in the primary, but it seems like a no-brainer just given the last 4 years and just looking at the direction things have taken. But to your point, we're not really that invested in the political side of things. We're invested more in the practical matters. And that's where I'm planting my flag, and that's where I'm most interested. So yeah, it's like we hear about this. He's 34 counts, and I'm like, wait, of what again? Like, what was exactly the underlying crime? Okay, falsifying business. It's like this highly technical thing, and of course, the left and the leftist media. Like I saw Joy Behar today said she peed herself a little bit while she was in Costco.
Yeah.
She was so excited when the news came out, and MSNBC is gleefully running coverage and whatnot. And then on the right, at the same time, you get this like, we need to seize power so we can throw everybody in jail and do the exact same thing, even harder back to them. And that kind of concerns me a little bit too, some of that sentiment. And it's like, can't we all just like focus on the actual issues and agree to address them as well as we can? Like that shouldn't seem to be a controversial take. And I feel like most Americans would agree with that, but it's just somehow so hard to arrive at that conclusion.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm so over it. I hear the name Trump, I hear the name Biden, I'm over it. Obviously, I know where I stand on the issue. You guys know where I stand on these issues. But it's just, there's just so much going on in the average American's life that, like, to hear more about this and to have this continued witch hunt just go on and on and on. So many of you are echoing the sentiment in the chat down below that you are just totally fed up and you want to see actual change take place in this country. And that's what I want to see. Interestingly enough, at the same time that we're getting this conviction on the 34 counts from Donald Trump, Laken Riley's murderer is right now in trial and is pleading not guilty to her murder. And to remind you guys, Laken Riley was a nursing student who was killed, in cold blood, right in the morning as she was going for a run by an illegal immigrant in this country. So you have the devastated family of Laken Riley, who is currently sitting in a courtroom trying to seek justice from somebody who should have never been in this country in the first place. All the while, the president, who would likely do something about this if elected, is now being found guilty on 34 counts with this falsified document BS that continues to go on and on and on. I just want to see things change. And whoever is going to be the person to do that is the person that I'm going to vote for. So yeah, did this change my mind whatsoever on anything? No. In fact, it has reinforced my distrust in a lot of our larger institutions to see this continue on and to watch as the powers that be in this nation and the people who are supposed to be making our lives better through the justice system, our representatives, these people that we contribute to on a daily basis, continue to follow something and hunt someone down when we are telling them and asking them not to, and to prioritize other things. Now, this clip has been going viral of Joe Biden sort of responding to the news that has been taking place with Donald Trump, and he just gives a little smirk. Let's watch.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot, sir?
And there he goes. He gives a good old waddle away, as we're so used to with Joe Biden. Now, this clip is going viral and people are saying he's so evil, he's so malicious, look how horrible he is. I'm not even convinced that he heard what that lady said, or that he even understood what she said. I think he just smiles to to questions in general, because there's nothing going on here. He's probably smiling because he's getting chocolate chip ice cream for dinner. That's why the smirk came about on his face, and he was waddling off to go get the ice cream cone that Jill Biden is holding off camera. Sorry, Dr. Jill Biden. Let me put that in front of her name. This is what's going on right now. Like, I try to cover this straight-facedly for you guys, but it's just like, how can we have a straight face covering this anymore? This is not real life. We are living in the Matrix. This is a simulation. I must be getting pranked. Ashton Kutcher's about to come into this room and say, there's a camera there. There's a camera there. And there would be, because we're in a studio right now. But, oh my gosh, I that's it. That's all I have to say. And they're saying this is such a big win for democracy and we're finally bringing him down or whatever. I think this might have created more support for Donald Trump. I think it really might have. And if it didn't create more support and change the minds of some people, it further reinforced the people who were already backing him. As I said, the donations flew through the sky as this news came out, and people are ready for retaliation for some, evening the score in a way, and others are just ready for this lunacy to stop. And a big part of what made Donald Trump so successful and so powerful the first time he ran was this speaking truth to power, pulling the man from behind the curtain and beating him up a little bit and saying, you know, a lot of this is fake. A lot of this is theatrical. And while he has his own theatrics, there's no doubt about that. There's something real about somebody who's going to come through and just tell it to you plainly and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what they're doing. Let's do something about it. And that's what people want to hear right now. Instead of this whole play pretend thing that we're in right now, where people sort of plaster a smile on and tell you everything is fine. We're not in a recession. He doesn't have dementia. He's totally capable of representing this country. While we recognize that that's not the case. Our foreign adversaries recognize that that's the case, not the case. Our allies recognize that that is not the case. So it's just, y'all, it's wild. It's wild out there. Honestly, anybody would be better than who we currently have running this country.
We're tired of being gaslit. We're tired of the double standards. And I think you're right with saying that this is probably not going to change the majority of people's minds. I did do a poll here, asked you guys, does Donald Trump's conviction change your mind about whether you would vote for him? And we had 9% say yes, 74% say no, and the rest were show results. So obviously, as we would predict, the vast majority of people have pretty much already made up their mind on where they stand. But I am curious because, you know, elections are often swung by that 10% or so who's kind of in the middle. Mm-hmm. And among that 10%, I'd be curious to see like what the division is who have changed their mind. Is it a 60-40 division there? But I will say that even if it doesn't, like, even if people are already pretty much set in their minds, what this action does on behalf of when you weaponize the DOJ against your chief political rival, that sets the narrative of that election cycle now in that manner. And like the whole idea with Trump coming out of last election was let him get in his own way, let him say crazy stuff, let him create enemies, let him do things that are going to turn people against him, and then just blow those up and amplify them. But now what they've done is don't let him speak, cancel him, shove him in the corner. Don't let him on social media platforms. Don't give him any media coverage, because that's what we did last time. And then meanwhile, instead of trying to beat him in a direct and fair manner, let's try to bring 3 different ways of charging him with the Russia collusion and this and that. And now they finally have landed on this very spurious, very strange, obscure, ginned up charges that they have been able to convict him on. But again, I think that just frames the election as like this, the double standard is obvious, the pettiness is obvious, and I think more of those 10% Americans who are on the fence or swayable are going to be swayed more to the side of like, dude, I see what you guys are doing, and this just doesn't seem to be what I want more of, because nothing good is happening in the meantime. You're running victory circles around getting this conviction, and yet the people are streaming across the border. Our streets are unsafe. Our kids are getting indoctrinated. Like, the economy's out of control. And I just want something different.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like, while we're asking for direct change in this country, they are creating like hip hop task force, doing transgender day of visibility, going after people for like vandalizing pride flags and things like that are taking place in this country. It's just so unbelievable. And if he's a criminal, right? If Donald Trump is a criminal, which, fully open to anybody's interpretation on that, anybody's view on that, so are like 90% of your politicians on both the right and the left. I mean, the things that these people are doing that are not yet illegal, but should be illegal, and the things that they're doing that are absolutely illegal, that are constantly being covered up or not been given the time of day. would blow your mind if it ever came to light. And that's even to be said directly to Joe Biden. There's like a million things, I feel like, just he and his presidency, outside of just being a weird creep in general, are probably going on in his personal life with his son, the stuff that was happening in Ukraine, the Burisma payments and all these different things. There are so many things we could point to where, if we were being reasonable in going after Donald Trump, we would also go after somebody like Joe Biden or like a ton of our other politicians that are currently sitting in power. Yet here we are, 34 counts and convictions later. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm not one to make predictions, but it would not surprise me at all if he comes through this next election. Considering there's no funny business. There could be some funny business going on, but he gets through this next election, he wins it, and then he gets to pardon himself, and that's it. And there you go. If he pulls through, honestly, at this point, because if he pulls through all of this, I don't know what else you can do about this man. Like, what is the next step if you're going to try to bring him down? What else could you possibly throw at this guy that he's going to withstand? I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, if there's like a more appearance of election interference this time, and that somehow it's like this weird, 3 a.m. huge batch of votes that shifts the whole thing in the swing states and blah, 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 blah. At that point, I think, I saw some people on Twitter saying they're doing this on purpose because they want to provoke the right into rioting and doing things that they can use as a justification to further cramp down and rob people of their freedoms and institute communism and all this stuff. And I'm not sure about all that, but I mean, I don't, and I'm actually kind of comforted by the fact that there were no crazy riots. Nobody was burning down buildings or anything yesterday. People were mad about this conviction, but you saw like people use their words like adults to say why this is wrong, all over Twitter, all over the media. That was largely the reaction I saw from the right. Some of the words were a little extreme, but I do think that if there's the appearance of election interference again and reason to seriously doubt what happens and it falls in the favor of Democrats, like people are really not going to take that sitting down. And I fear for what that would look like. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just can't. We don't need more unrest, guys. I think we have enough of that going on for a variety of different reasons. Some of you are commenting that you don't think he can pardon himself on a state charge. Wasn't there like some messing around with whether or not this actually is a state charge, Taylor? Yeah, my understanding was that the original charge was like a misdemeanor, and which is something that happens at the state level, and then they somehow recategorized it as a felony at the federal level, which a state DA technically shouldn't have the authority to do, but sometimes they finagled around that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if it's a federal crime, could he pardon himself? There's more, a lot of podcasts being done and articles being written by people who are more interested in the technicalities than us on those things. So forgive us if we get wrong on little details of that. But yeah, I mean, who knows if he'll be able to pardon himself or not, I guess. Yeah, I'm not even gonna, I'm honestly just waiting here. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna see who's on my ballot when the time comes, and I'll give you my opinion in the meantime. But I'm so over this. But it's interesting because people are beginning to speak out in Hollywood specifically. There was a recent interview that, our now friend, I guess, Dennis Quaid did at Piers Morgan, where he spoke about the fact that he is going to be voting for Donald Trump. And this is an interesting thing to say as an actor in Hollywood. But of course, Dennis Quaid is he's grandfathered into the system. He's been around quite some time. I think he's doing a kind of conservative-ish movie right now. So I think he's ready to just be real about it. And we'll talk about whether or not we want our actors and, these people in our entertainment to tell us who they're voting for. But it's kind of where we're at now as a country. So let's hear from Dennis Quaid on Piers Morgan. What do you think of Trump?
I think I'm going to vote for him.
Really?
Yeah, in the next election. Yes, I am.
Are you ready for the blowback?
Well, yeah.
If inevitably comes with Trump?
I think in this election, everybody's got to, I think they're going to take a side or whatever, but it just seems to me, it just makes sense. I was ready not to vote for Trump until what I saw is more than politics. I see a weaponization of our justice system.
Yeah.
And a a challenge to our Constitution, and us as Americans, that I don't think we're going to have. And, Trump is the most investigated person probably in the history of the world. And they haven't been able to really get him. People might call him an asshole, but he's my asshole.
What do you think?
There you go. And I guess, obviously, they got him days later after this interview came out as far as these convictions go. But, it's interesting to hear him say, he may be an a-hole, but he is mine. And he's saying that, there's a weaponization of the justice system. And interestingly enough, that made me think of, look at all these different crimes that are taking place, especially in these big, blue metropolitan areas, and how often these people are career criminals, meaning they've been floating throughout the justice system their entire lives and have not been dealt with and have not been, imprisoned, and they're left to run amok in our cities to kill innocent people. Most recently, the guys who killed actor Johnny Wachter, who was here in downtown LA getting his catalytic converter stolen, and they shot him dead at 3 a.m. And that guy wasn't even confronting those people, wasn't even trying to start a problem. Laken Riley and her murder at the hands of an illegal immigrant. This guy was obviously committing crimes. He was committing the crime of even being in this country, but also had other crimes that he was arrested for here in the United States. Yet the justice system couldn't deal with that. Somehow he slipped through the fingers of our justice system. But Trump, for sleeping with a prostitute and paying her hush money, is going to be dealt with. And they're managing to move things around and turn things to felonies when they were misdemeanors, and extend the statute of limitations on crimes, even though that had long since passed in the crimes that in the crime that Donald Trump is being convicted for. How is it possible that suddenly, our justice system works so well and is being exercised so well in its commitment to handle Donald Trump, but you can't do that with career criminals who are quite literally ruining lives, ruining families, killing people, stealing, bringing drugs into this country, which it leads to the death of more people. There are so many things going wrong within our justice system. Not only is it being weaponized against Donald Trump, but it's just not being properly used against actual criminals in this country. And it's no surprise that I think Dennis Quaid is coming forward in saying this. And I think it's going to mark a time where more people in Hollywood start to speak up and speak out about these things. And I ask myself, is it necessary? Do I want to know who actors are voting for? Do I want to know where their loyalty lies? In a way, no. But because Hollywood is so left and seems to be unanimously supporting left-leaning ideology and the likes of Joe Biden and the horrible things that are happening in this country, I guess it's good to see an alternative force that has managed to build some status in Hollywood come forward and say, oh, you know what? I don't agree with this, and take the repercussions that comes with that. It used to be that, what made movies and entertainment good, what made the stars of Hollywood so lustrous is we don't know that much about you. And that's the cool thing. I see you appear on screen and you act out a character that I've never seen before and I've never met before. And I know you, as in I know your name and I know your face, but I don't know your entire personal life. And I think since we've entered this age of knowing everything about celebrities, following them on social media, knowing who they're dating, knowing who their kids are, knowing every single thought they have on every single view and every single issue, it's made our entertainment less entertaining. I know too much about you. Now I watch a Robert De Niro movie and I'm like, ugh, I know how unhinged you are in real life, and that's not fun. Or I'll go and watch The Parent Trap, which features Dennis Quaid, and be like, oh, I love this movie, but I know a lot about this guy now. I know who he's voting for in real life. It really takes you out of the experience of entertainment, but it's just where we are now, because it's become so political that now there's this back and forth of people popping up and saying, well, I don't agree with this. Well, I don't agree with that. Or, the constant virtue signaling that happens in Hollywood towards left-leaning ideology. So you know what? I'll take it because of what's going on. And it seems like a good, reactionary measure to show that, you're not alone. There are sane people within Hollywood who recognize everything that's happening right now. But I wish we were in a healthy enough place as a society that this wasn't necessary, that you didn't, as an actor, have to come on TV and let people know who you're voting for president.
Yeah, it is sad. And I listened to a little bit more of that interview, and actually Piers and Dennis Quaid talked a little bit more about that. And Dennis was sharing how he thinks like people like, I mean, he named Leo DiCaprio as someone who is like one of the last great movie stars where they don't do a ton of press. You don't hear a lot about him now. I would say he does a lot of his climate activism, so that maybe takes him out of that category.
And he's dating the 18-year-olds, so that takes him out of the category a little bit.
Well, I guess that's still part and parcel of being movie star, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But he talked about how like back in the day, like Jack and Nicholas, I think, didn't do very many interviews, and they tried to deliberately, like the older generation of Hollywood actors and actresses, like deliberately maintain that air of mystique by not being overly outspoken about their political views, and that actually amplified their stardom and their perception of like being other, and it let people also enjoy film for its own sake. And so they didn't have to be thinking about the political views of the artists or the directors or anything like that. And I do agree with you that it's lamentable how politicized everything has become. And there seems to be nowhere, whether it's in academia, whether you go to Target, whether you're at the gym at Planet Fitness, whether you're watching a film or trying to enjoy one of your beloved TV shows that's based on a book that you love growing up or something like that. Everything is attempted to be seized upon by activists who have an agenda and want to infuse a certain narrative about the way the world works onto people. I saw a really interesting tweet the other day by a social scientist named Charles Murray, and it was actually something he said like 6 or 7 years ago that he like retweeted and to say like, wow, this is really coming true. But basically talking about how like the woke activist types who have been living in the humanities departments of universities have this worldview that is going to clash with the objective worldview of the regular sciences, the hard sciences that are just objective reality. And I feel like we're seeing that more and more and more. And people who once took for granted that we just live in this shared space of reality. We live in this shared space of our common values like equality and justice and equality under the law and due process and live and let live, the general sort of libertarian element in American culture. And all that has been, eroded really as these activists have just left no stone unturned and moved into everywhere, and it's just made everything worse. And I think people are just tired of it.
Yeah, I'm wondering like where is the neutral ground that exists right now? Is there a neutral ground that exists? Because it feels like everything in some way, shape, or form is priming us for some sort of further message or is trying to let you know how it feels about something. And tomorrow's video is actually going to be about how Hollywood and entertainment has been on that path for a really long time. And now some big figures in Hollywood are stepping out to say, can we just go back to telling stories again instead of telling people how to feel and what to think all the time? Figures like George R.R. Martin and George Lucas, they're now saying, yeah, we don't really need to be doing whatever it is that you're doing right now. The political messaging and everything is getting a little tired. It's getting stale. It's cringe. And I stand by that 100%. So yeah, I mean, now we know that Dennis Quaid is going to vote for Donald Trump. Let that impact you however it will. I'm still going to watch Parent Trap. In fact, it reinforced me wanting to watch Parent Trap. As soon as I saw his face, I was like, oh yeah, Dennis Quaid was in that movie with Lindsay Lohan, which... Just a quick tangent. I saw a video talking about Parent Trap and how weird the movie actually is, and it actually is so weird. You mean to tell me you had 2 twin daughters, okay? And you were married, and you decide to get divorced, and the way that you deal with your twin daughters is not to like co-parent or like split them up, like to have them, one during the week, one on the weekends, or once a month with each parent. You split your twins up and sent them to separate locations to live with each parent. And then when the twins finally meet each other and they switcheroo themselves, you don't notice that your kid is not the kid that you've been with for how many years? The actual plot to that movie is so insane. And then the one person who actually figures out that the kids have switched each other is the nanny. You mean to tell me the nanny knows your kid, that you've, split up from the other twin better than you do? I have my qualms with the Parent
Don't
Trap movie.
overanalyze it, Amala. You're going to ruin this childhood memories for everybody.
Dude.
We need to get Dennis on the show and ask him what he was thinking
Yes.
by allowing that to happen to his children.
For real, I never questioned it. I was watching Parent Trap and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just such a good movie. I need to try peanut butter on Oreos. But damn, your parents had twins, divorced, and then split you guys up, meaning you were never going to logically see your twin ever again because your parents got divorced. That is so weird. Anyways, sorry, Dennis. Well, if we ever have you on the show, we'll talk about it.
Just enjoy the movie, Amala. Suspended disbelief. That's part of the magic of cinema. You don't overthink the plot.
I guess so. I find it harder and harder to suspend my disbelief these days. Yeah, I guess I am being a little bit too rational about the movie. Now, speaking of being too rational, what happens when you're irrational? We're going to move on to Robert De Niro and his unhinged rants that he's been going on about Trump outside the Trump trial before it, of course, ended, as it did recently. He's been going off on people, fighting, arguing with people in the streets, which is why, when I watch a Robert De Niro movie from now on, I'm going to have trouble suspending my disbelief in the acting and in the character. And that sucks because I really liked, Silver Linings Playbook and, movies like that. But here we are. Let's watch this clip of Robert De Niro.
Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave.
Okay, Bob. It's giving drama. It's giving drama degree. It's giving Juilliard. I can't with him. That is so dramatic. If Trump gets elected, your government will perish, your rights will no longer exist, and he will never leave. Meaning, he has truly convinced himself that if Donald Trump is elected president, he's just going to become some sort of dictator that's going to be around forever and constantly reelect himself, even though we have a system set up to where that does not occur. He truly thinks that that's what Donald Trump is going to do. I don't know that I actually have words. It's just so unrealistic. It's so irrational, which is just, I guess, part of the course when it comes to Robert De Niro and his take on anything that has to do with Trump. He has Trump derangement syndrome 100%.
Okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. Somebody missed his nap and is a little grouchy. They didn't like the pudding flavor he was served or something. My goodness. Real. Yeah. This is textbook TDS, right? Trump derangement syndrome. It's you've convinced yourself that it's crazy to me because we literally had 4 years, and whatever you think about January 6th, we don't need to relitigate that. Trump did ultimately step down from office. There was ultimately a peaceful transfer of power. And I get that, I could see it both ways. It's the second term of Joe Biden or Trump. So everything's escalated. So if Trump is a second term, he doesn't have a reelection to worry about. He's just going to go absolutely crazy. Biden, if he gets reelected, or whoever's handling him and doing the, weekend at Bernie's behind the scenes, operating the puppet that is Biden, they're going to have even less restraint and they're going to go crazy. So I can see to have a heightened level of concern about the second term of whichever candidate you don't like. But the idea that he's going to never step down and that he's going to institute just this dictatorship, when in the exact time that you're saying that, the guy that you support and the guy that you voted for is the one who's weaponizing the justice system against his political rival to try to deprive the American people of the opportunity to use the democratic process to elect the candidate that they want. He's the one interfering with the election process in this. And you're on the side of that guy as opposed to the guy who is just trying to get to the place where he's able to run and let the people speak for themselves. So just absolutely wild. And gotta also point out the irony of coming out to give a grandiose speech about preserving American freedoms while you're wearing a mask in 2024.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he is Delulu. Robert Delulu. That's what we're going to rename him, is Robert DeLulu, because he has got too much going on. And he's been on a tear ever since, Trump's name was uttered as far as being in relation to a presidency. So we'll check back in on him. It's just very interesting to see these two different figures. You see Dennis Quaid, a longtime celebrity, sort of just calmly saying, here's why I'm concerned and here's why I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump. And then Robert De Niro just going absolutely insane in his battle against this man that he's been on for quite some time. But we'll check back in on him as the election rolls around and see what Robert DeLulu is up to, because
someone said Robert Denial as well. That was a good one.
Robert Denial. That is a good one. Oh, yeah. Come up with your own Robert De Niro play on words down below. Now, lastly, Pride Month is right around the corner. And by right around the corner, I mean it starts tomorrow. So, of course, we have a little bit of Pride news happening right now. The first is more on the right, I guess. Tim McGraw, the famous country singer and also actor, because y'all watched him in what was it, 1812? What was the name of that show? That Tim McGraw and his wife were on. Y'all will remind me in the chat.
I don't even know. I didn't know they were.
He's a good actor. I didn't know that Tim McGraw was going to be a good actor, but I watched that that series, and he was really good in that series. But he's getting a lot of hate on the internet right now because he decided to, I guess, sign a deal with Planet Fitness. Yes, Trey Brannon. It was the Yellowstone show. 1883. A lot of y'all are putting a lot of different years in the chat down below, so hopefully it's actually 1883. But yeah, so he signed a deal with Planet Fitness, and I guess filmed a little ad that he posted online. And I guess Tim McGraw might have just not read the fine print on that Planet Fitness deal, that they are allowing men who identify as women to just run amok within Planet Fitness and go into whatever bathroom they want to. And we've seen pictures of men who apparently identify as women in the women's bathroom shaving, which is just hilarious. Not shaving their legs or their hoo-ha, I guess, as you would imagine a woman will be doing in the bathroom, but shaving their face. And here's the Tim McGraw ad for Planet Fitness.
Tim McGraw here. You may have heard me talk about how important fitness is in my life. It makes me feel better and gives me a better mental outlook on everything that I do. But I wouldn't be able to stay consistent and fit without the support of my family, my friends, and my community. We all need a support system to help keep us moving. And that's where Planet Fitness comes in.
Hell yeah. And you know who else needs a support system? The women after they're terrorized in their bathroom. And you know what? I think Homeboy just didn't know what was going on with Planet Fitness. He signed a little deal. Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, I legit think he just didn't know about this. And then he started getting all these hate replies on Twitter when this was posted. And people were like, how can you support this? This is, oppressing women. They're not protecting their spaces. And he probably just had no idea what was going on. And then I heard he was like banning people and muting the accounts and trying to like delete the tweets that were against him or whatever at first. And then they were just like, I took it down within like 30 minutes.
Right, which makes sense, because like the second you post the ad, you're probably going to get a few comments and you're like, okay, I can deal with this. Delete, block, delete, mute. And then all of a sudden the waves comes in when people start picking up on it. I do believe that he is left-leaning, at least I think, I'd imagine, but I guess he just could not take the heat that was coming in the backlash of him posting this, and he ended up deleting the video, and I don't know what that means with his deal with Planet Fitness. And I don't know how I feel. Obviously people sort of bullied him into submission on this one. I'd be curious to hear his actual take about what's happening on Planet Fitness, rather than just have like this reactionary fire that goes out as soon as a celebrity signs and then they delete the video. I would be much more interested to be reasonable and just hear, whether or not he knew that this was going on in Planet Fitness. Now that he does, how does he feel about the fact that that's happening at Planet Fitness? But let's be so for real right now. Tim McGraw has never stepped foot inside of Planet Fitness, except for to film this ad and to get his ass out of there. For damn well, he's in something better than Equinox as far as the gym goes. And you see all these celebrities, they just get offered, probably $1 million here and there to film these things. And they go, okay, yeah, I'll put on a Planet Fitness t-shirt and I'll say the little speech that you give me on the teleprompter, and I'll go about my business, and then I'll go to my actual gym, which I pay $1 million a year to go to. Or, you know, I have a private gym at my house, and my trainer, I pay $1 million a year to train me. So we'll see. I don't think he's going to issue a statement on this. I think he's just going to sort of silently bow out of that one and let people do their thing.
Yeah, what's that? There's that famous gif of the little baby who comes in the room and is like, and then looks around and turns around and runs off. Like, that's kind of how I feel
Exactly.
Tim McGraw was in this situation. But yeah, you know, he's got his own private people training him and whatnot.
Yes.
And this was all just a PR stunt. But just in terms of sheer professionalism, like, I hope he fires his publicist if they didn't have the due diligence to say, hey, by the way, that this brand deal that you're considering, there is this massive controversy among a huge swath of your base audience of country music fans who live in conservative America, broadly speaking, who may not like this partnership, and there may be some backlash against it. Are you sure you want to do that? You don't want to wait until after you do the partnership, post the video, get the backlash, and then find out about it, because he seems to have been ignorant of it. So just in purely like professional terms, it was just a failure of his team. So I hope he's got a new publicist at least.
Yes, if you get real quiet and silent right now, you can hear the sound of a PR agent packing a cardboard box. I think they're done for on this one. I feel like a quick Google search would have cleared that up for you and all involved with signing at Planet Fitness. But, you know, mistakes happen and, you know, these things occur. I don't think we need to cancel Tim McGraw. I've never been in favor of cancellation. I'm certainly not now for something, you know, as benign as this. But yeah, so of course, Pride is right around the corner, and Walmart is giving out their little Pride ad. Let's take a look.
Queer people have magic that we can share.
We're lucky enough to be in the Walmart Pride collection this year. Total dream come true.
It's not every day that I see my products in a Walmart.
It's important to me to share my art.
No one can make the art that you make. No one can say the things the way you say them.
There's a lot of opportunity to uplift with a bit of playfulness and imperfection.
The world needs to hear what you have to say and your story.
All right. First of all, I did not know gay people got magic. That makes sense as to why so many people are identifying with the LGBTQ crowd. I didn't know that magic was involved with that. Also, somebody can make that art. Let me leave them alone. Okay, they got hired by Walmart. You know, they're artists. They're creating products. Anybody would sign up for that, especially, I guess, if it supports their ideology. This is just par for the course as far as this time of year. We're already seeing it before tomorrow, but as soon as tomorrow hits, all the rainbow flags are going to pop up. All the corporations are going to start changing their little emblem and avatar on every single social media. They're going to roll out their Pride collections. Target's going to do it. Walmart's obviously doing it. This, that, and the other is going to do it. And we're just going to live in this endless cycle of pandering towards a group of people who, I don't know, may or may not buy these products, but I'm so over it. Like, we don't need these months and days for every single marginalized identity that exists always. And you know what? How many days are we at this point? Because I feel like every other Friday I'm getting told it's like Trans Day of Visibility, or it's Lesbian Day, or it's Gay Day, or it's Bisexual Awareness Month, or, you know, all of December is for Bisexuals are Real Month and stuff like that. We, at least, like, if you're gonna do it, can we just pick one day? And it's just that's the day, and then we move on from that. You're not allowed to extrapolate and add more days on the calendar. Or in my ideal utopian society, there is no days for anybody. I'm done with the Black History Month stuff. I'm done with the Pride Month stuff. I'm done with the Trans Day of Visibility. I'm done with trans kids are real, let them transition day. I'm so over all the different days that are being forced upon me when I go online.
Yeah, we're so secure in our identities that we need days imposed on every month of the year and every week of the month on the calendar to affirm us. We need companies to take an entire month of the year to plaster everything in rainbows and make weird products to celebrate us. We need them to change out their profile pictures on all their social media and issue these sweeping statements and do these special campaigns and all this stuff because we're just so secure in everything. Like, it really kind of screams the opposite. And it's almost this like militant, like, you must bow. And we know all about ESGs and DEI and all these forces at work in corporate America to force companies to participate in things like this, things that celebrate minorities and celebrate minority identities and marginalized categories in order to get brownie points with the powers that be in order to secure capital and funding for themselves. So on and on we go. But it is interesting that in this case specifically, Walmart, who has largely, to my recollection, and we've been covering stuff like this for a few years now, but they've not been a huge player in the Pride Month festivities, if you will, and yet Target, I think earlier this year, kind of declared that they're going to scale back what they're doing and have a little less displays, at least at the corporate level. I think maybe individual stores can do what they want, but they're not going to be as heavy-handed with the Pride Month stuff, from what I understand, because in prior years they got more pushback, and Walmart saw that and was like, you know what? Hold my beer, Target. Hold my what do gay people drink? Cosmopolitan. I don't know. And
hold my Cosmo.
We're gonna go even harder. We're gonna Pride even harder. Wave the flag because that went so well for Target. It's just so interesting that they do it despite the fact that almost nobody is asking for it, including, by the way, a lot of gay people who are like, dude, I just want to be gay and live my life, and I don't need all this stuff to be spoken for me. I don't need to be put under this massive umbrella with all this crazy activism. Just let me be.
Right. And it's like, okay, y'all are chilling. Okay, as far as the LGB is concerned, aren't you guys chilling? I'm like, nobody cares who you love anymore. Nobody cares who you kiss. There's like a few people in society that are like, that's a sin or whatever, and that's a problem. But I'm like, okay, for the most part, even people who think that you're sinning from a religious background, a lot of them are just like, okay, but still go do your thing, sis. Like, live your life. As long as it's not infringing on my life, you're cool to do whatever you want. What else are we still battling for? It wasn't until they added the T on there that there was kind of like a resurgence, I'd feel like, of any sort of legislative battle that is happening in this country. So what are we doing all the Pride stuff for? Like, what are we cheering on at this point? If we really wanted to be like a sexuality that is seen as like normal, fun, naturally occurring, even if that's like the argument that we all want to make, wouldn't you just be as chill as the straight people are about their identity and not like running around parading rainbow flags everywhere and throwing condoms off of floats and Speedos and stuff? Wouldn't we chill and just lead our lives in our relationships? And I feel like there honestly wouldn't be as much trouble or, hate, whatever you want to call it. I don't like to use the word hate because it's such a strong word, or dislike for the LGBTQ community if it was just a quieter one. Like, if y'all just chilled out a little bit, if y'all just were quiet and led your lives like everybody else does in their relationships, and you don't have to throw it in people's face or parade around the street and do all this stuff every single year and then get mad at corporations for not having pride collections or changing their emblem to some sort of rainbow flag, I think a lot more people would be chilling. It's just like the screaming and the cutting up and the pride this and the campaign that really makes people step back and go, I don't know if I like this. This feels like it's being pushed on me at the same time every single year. So yeah, we could just chill.
I see a lot of y'all in the comments too saying, I'm gay and I hate Pride Month, I'm bisexual and this doesn't represent me. And it seems to be the sentiment of just regular old folks. And yeah, I think we'd all be happy to celebrate life and enjoy life together, but it becomes divisive when it's like, you got to support this. And like, you're right, it escalated with adding the T, and then it just got downright weird when we started doing the QIA plus, and you see the flag keeps changing and gets more convoluted and all this stuff's going on. And there's just like the militancy. It's like, let's all just chill, man. We can all hang out. We can all be friends.
For real.
No one's judging based on your identity characteristics, but it's just the militancy. It's a little too much.
Right. Like, I don't care. You're a 2-man relationship, 2-woman relationship. I don't care if you're an adult and you're a man who wants to dress as a woman, so long as you're not, trying to step in my bathroom, in my locker room, my spa, and play in my sports. So maybe there's some caveats on that last one. But, you know, do what you want to do. But chill. Just chill. Daddy, chill. Okay.
I said hold my Bud Light, not hold my beer, by the way, which that was, I said Cosmo, but I think Bud Light's a better fit.
Hold my Bud Light, yeah, at this point. Now, lastly, guys, in the name of Pride Month, I don't know, we have this next story. PlayStation Studios' new 5v5 multiplayer shooter Concord gets raked over the coals for pushing pronoun nonsense and DEI character designs. Now, as you see in this photo here, this is just like a black woman with blue lipstick, probably blue hair underneath that helmet going on. And apparently, like, most of the characters in this game are black women. I think there's one white guy that you can select. And then there's robots and things that you can choose from. But the robots have pronouns. Like if you see here, this one says he, him, which, of course, we were all wondering. We were all wondering what the pronouns were. Not they, them, not she, her, but he, him. And this is just another notch in the belt for woke gaming. I have to wonder, like, who's behind this? Is Sweet Baby Inc. somewhere behind this? Because one of those characters is looking an awful lot like the CEO. You have to wonder, because there's all these narrative writers who work on these video games, and when you look behind the curtain, instead of finding, you know, the man who actually runs the Wizard of Oz, you find a whole bunch of like intersectional feminists who are writing these storylines for a male-dominated industry, which is why you're getting like these black, female, diverse characters and the she, her, he, him, they, them pronouns for each of the characters, and you can transition throughout your journey in the video game as you're slaying dragons and killing people.
You leveled up to pansexual.
Yeah, you've leveled up to pansexual. And, you know, are we seeing the downfall of the gaming industry? I don't know. Maybe you'll see just certain people who still know how to sustain proper narratives and making great games. They'll just cut through all the noise and, you know, just become the elite, become the top of top. And these other games will fall by the wayside. But I feel like we keep seeing it over and over and over again. What was the other game that we covered? Assassin's Creed, that's doing the whole black
Yasuke.
Samurai thing. Yeah, Yasuke. And then we covered all of the Sweet Baby Inc., all the different games that they've been working on, and a girl who works in game development who was saying it's just, you know, uncomfortable to work around white people. And are y'all tired? I feel like if there's one industry that shouldn't succumb to this, it's the gaming industry, considering the lack of PC culture that exists in gaming and the fact that it is male dominated and men seem to be typically less susceptible to this sort of stuff. But yet they've found a way. They've infiltrated your sacred space.
Yeah, it's like the Empire in Star Wars or colonialism or something. Like the ideologues go into these industries and then start imposing their will and imposing their agenda on things. Whereas if you just let the free market be the free market and let the audiences who create the demand for games be satisfied by games that are good and are made for the best storylines, the best gaming elements, the best characters, the best gameplay attributes, and all those things, and that is what drove the gaming industry, then I don't think you'd have the crazy financial situation that the gaming industry is in. I don't think you'd have all this incessant controversy that's happening. Just let people be free to enjoy the products that they want to enjoy and create the products that they want to enjoy. And for a good while, that's what the gaming industry was up until a decade or so ago, to where now it feels like almost every major gaming company has been infiltrated by ideologues and by the ESG, DEI types who want to insert all these characters. I was just playing this new, there's a new game called X Defiant, kind of like a Call of Duty, but it's free to play, and it's like got all this buzz. So I was like, I never play new games. I've played Halo, and I used to play Warcraft 3, like this strategy game, when I was, as a teenager, and I have not stopped playing those two games. So I was like, I'll try this new game. A lot of people are playing it, and you can start as 4 different, persons or characters, and of course one of them's like a Hispanic woman, one of them's a black woman, and then there's racially ambiguous 2 other guys you can pick and as skins. And it's like, on one level, okay, whatever, I don't care, I'll play as a girl if you want me to play as a girl, like it's not a big deal.
Right.
But just think about the demographics of who downloads and plays first-person shooter video games. I imagine it's like a 10-to-1, 20-to-1 ratio of males to females who play, and the reality of the matter and the facts on the ground, the market dynamics, that if you left it to freedom, and then you would have a different product. And instead we have taken the reality that we wish were, we take the perception of wanting to exclude women from these spaces, and it's all this nefarious, toxic masculinity and patriarchy that's behind this, and we need to fight against that for equity and stuff, when the reality is, in a totally free and open market, things just happen how they happen, and that's kind of okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's discrimination going on, but the gaming industry is just yet another battle zone and a battlefield where this ideological battle is happening, and the actual people who just want to enjoy the product are the ones who lose out.
Yeah, dude, they've totally forgotten it's supply and demand, and now they're just like, we're going to supply it, and then we're going to get mad at you for not demanding it. We're going to get pissed and call you bigots for not demanding the things that we are supplying you. They're trying to force the markets to bend to its own whim. And so there we go. Happy almost Pride. Happy Pride Month Eve, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to get into your super chats. Let's hear from you on these matters.
Let's do it. Hope y'all brought some good ones today. I saw a lot of takes coming in during the stream. Okay. So let's see. Wow. There's a lot. I'm going to scroll down. Okay. We're going to have to go through these quick. There is a ton.
Okay. Let's fly through.
Daniel Santana, as usual, kicking us off on Friday, just saying hello before anybody else.
Love that. Thank you, Daniel.
Love that. Taking your rightful place. Julian Giangrande says, have you ever heard of Jackson Hinkle?
I have heard of Jackson Hinkle. He posts a bunch of pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel stuff on X. I do follow his account because he was super active when all of this stuff was happening ever since October 7th. I don't know how I feel about him personally. He seems like a little bit incendiary. As I said, I lean on some very major criticisms of what Israel's doing right now, but he's doing a lot, and there's a lot of seemingly engagement farming that seems to be happening on his Twitter. So I'm not a fan of that. I'll follow other sources as far as they're reporting on that matter.
And I have not heard of him, so I have nothing to add.
You probably have seen him. If I showed you his profile, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen this guy, because he's been everywhere. Yeah.
There's a lot of those out there.
Yeah.
Unknown Avenger says, this entire trial really puts a new meaning to the term trumped up charges. Am I right? Love the channel. You all make my office job bearable.
Oh, love it. Love that. Yeah, we love a good play on words when these things are happening. And yes, trumped up charges is absolutely right when it comes to this. I mean, I don't know how anybody could view this and think it's only validating for people who already hate Donald Trump. And it's the opposite for people who already like him. So I just don't know. I don't know what this is doing for maybe people who sit in the middle. I don't know. I'd be just as confused still if I sat in the middle on this issue.
Sasha O'Neill says, happy Friday. This is a witch hunt. Corporations don't want Trump, so they'll dig up dirt on him. It is a battle between the corporations and the Republic.
Yeah, it's just a lot. I mean, it's corporations, other representatives. It's their own self-interest that is making this happen. It is the media not wanting to be brought to task by another Trump term. There's so many different things at play here, which makes it just what a hill to go up as Donald Trump, and he's still managing, which is just crazy. It's crazy that nothing has worked so far.
Rido Boy 94 says his chances of winning went down a lot, I think, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, we'll see. I think everybody stands exactly where they stood before this news came out. Now, it does signal to me that institutional powers are going to do whatever they can to stop him from winning, and interpret that how you will. It's just to say that if this is the precedent they're setting within the justice system, what are they going to do within our election system? Just a question.
Scary. Otaku69 says, Trump and Mamala 2024. Maybe y'all can work on the inflation and insane gas prices.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't even begin. I am no economist. I can begin to fix the inflation problem. Also, I'll be 24 in approximately 17 days or 16 days. I don't know how that works right now. So your girl can't run, and I wouldn't. It's too corrupted. I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine trying to run for any form of office at this point.
Ironically, I think having no knowledge of economics or as much as you do, you'd still probably do better than whoever's pulling the levers right now.
Yeah. Right now, Biden's just going for whoever gives him that chocolate chip.
chocolate chip. Pasta is good says, I'm a Jew in a blue city and I'm worried about how the safety of pride parades and the ongoing anti-Semitism spewed by the radical left.
Interesting. I don't typically view the left as being particularly anti-Semitic. I know that is what's being said now with everything that's happening on college campuses. And I do think there are some fringe people on the left who I think could be characterized as being anti-Semitic. But I don't think the general criticism of Israel or the Israeli government is particularly anti-Semitic as it stands today. But again, of course, there are exceptions to that. I'd be curious. I don't know. Are there going to be weird things that happen at pride parades this year? Probably. I don't know. We've made it pretty far without strange things happening.
Strange is relative.
Well, yeah,
There's a lot of strange things that
other than the inherently strange things that happen at pride parades. But we'll see.
Man of the Hour says, happy weekend, guys. Hey, question for you both. What's your top reason as to why you think a woman would accept a date but then go ghost prior to the date?
Okay. My top reason for that would be like a lot of people just make flaky commitments. Like a lot of people will pretend to be something or make a commitment to something that they have no intention of actually following through on. Women in particular, as a woman, I could see somebody maybe asking you out, or like when women get asked for their Instagram or their number, they'll give it to you to be nice because they don't want any sort of retaliation or anything weird could happen, as that's, an ongoing threat that is presented to women a lot. So they'll say they're going to do something and then they're not actually interested. That would be the top reason, I think, with me, my female friends. I think that would be number one.
Yeah, I mean, if a woman said she's willing to go on a date with you and then reneges, like you got to look at what happened between the more positive vibe that she had and whatever has happening now or going ghost. And probably somewhere along, like, think of it like if you're trying to start a fire, there's a little spark, right? And maybe you had a little bit of a spark and when you met in conversation or whatever.
Right.
And now you got to nurture that. And you do that by building on whatever rapport that you had and try to keep nurturing that. And then that grows into, put some kindling on it and that grows into a little flicker and hopefully, it grows into a flame. But you can also throw cold water on it by doing something weird, by coming on too strong. Yeah, there's a lot. And so and that's where early on, there are a little bit of games. You got to really be conscious of how you're coming off but try to lean into what worked at first and your initial connection and grow that. And if you come with something out of left field, it might be that cup of cold water. Immo, Nicodemus 1984 says, unfortunately, true or not, it seems that politicians from both camps and from both sides of the Atlantic are in trouble with lawsuits. That's why it's so important that both of you continue your great work. Cheers.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I mean, like the insider trading that so many should be should be made illegal and prosecuted for. They do a lot of freaky stuff. Okay, you're politicians. I'm just going to let y'all know that right now. There's so many different crimes going on, colluding with different people, just the theatrics of politics in general that they largely fabricate and then do in front of you as if it's like, real. I feel like that should not be allowed, but there's so many different things. They're not all, I shouldn't say all, that's a hasty generalization, but a lot of them are criminals, at least in my book of law. In Amala's book of law, a lot of them are criminals.
They're all going straight to jail.
Yeah, straight to jail.
Yeah, and I'm flattered by that's why it's so important we need to continue our work because there's so many politicians facing lawsuits. I don't know what connection we have to that other than maybe just talking about it honestly and pointing it out. But hey, at least we're all not letting them gaslight us and we're feeling sane together seeing this happen.
Love that.
Sean Hughes says, hey, Mamala from Australia.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Hi.
Hello. Pasta is good. Just says Amala for 2024.
I will be 24, guys. You're not getting that. You're not getting me you're not getting me as president ever. You're not getting me in public office ever. Sorry, guys.
24 and 24. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, 24 and 24. My age always follows the year, baby. So I'm never lost. I'm never lost.
About that.
Yep.
I mean, okay, so people always speculate. I'll say it. I was born in 1990, so I have a similar thing where I always yours
10.
is easier because you literally have like the millennium to start from.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll be 34 this year.
Yeah, there you go. Just has to add 10. I just have to take the year.
Exactly. The Uralic Tribes says, I get that Amala did the right thing during his presidency, etc., but why the constant idolization of him? Even if he gets reelected, he won't be in charge forever, nor will he be alive forever. Well, not if you're Robert De Niro.
Yeah, right. He will be in
Then he
charge
will.
for absolutely forever. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The weird, Trumpist idolatry is very strange to me. He's just a human being. And quite frankly, not the best we could do. So, the fact that there are people who are like, it's Trump always and it's Trump forever. I'm like, okay, well, it's not. Also, we could do better. I want us all to acknowledge that while, it's good, he's probably going to work on things that we care about. We could definitely one up ourselves on this one. Let's not be too quick to keep ourselves at this baseline. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I agree with you. The idolatry is strange.
Yeah, 2028 is going to be so interesting because it can't be a Trump thing again, right? I mean, I guess if he loses and he's 82 running for president in 2028 again, could you imagine if we're still on that?
Would he be? Wouldn't he be even older than that? How old is he now?
I don't know. Isn't he in his late 70s?
Oh yeah, he's 77. So yeah, wow, yeah,
so
he would be 82.
81.
Wow, yeah,
my goodness.
Crazy. Please no, please.
I've already had 8 years of my life Trump dominated. I'm ready just for something different.
Yeah,
it's going to be 12 by the end of this apparently. But,
oh my gosh, horrible.
Man of the hour again says, P1 part 1. Sorry, not sorry, Amala on this one, but I gotta say this. I'm starting to understand why guys are a-holes to women. It's in large part due to how women treat men. I've been getting to know a lot of girls, and I'm not dating them all at the same time, but they just ghost anyways. I see why Chad does what he does.
I don't think there's any excuse to be an a-hole to anybody, and that would be a lack of strength on your part to remain reasonable in the face of unreasonableness, even if it is unreasonable. I get ghosting is not cool. You should just let somebody know how you feel instead of just dropping off the face of the earth. But those are the times we're in. But yeah, I would just take it on the chin and still be cool. The guy that reacts to something he doesn't like by being an a-hole further reinforces the decision that the girl made. So if you respond as an a-hole and she ghosted you, she's going to be like, absolutely, I'm so correct for having ghosted that guy. My read was absolutely correct. If you remain cool, calm, collected, and you're like, cool, you didn't need me, I didn't need you, wasn't going to work out, that's the guy who's truly worth the not, ghosting out on. You have to prove him wrong, bud.
Yeah, and if you let the bad experience you had with one woman project onto all of your future interactions with other women, then guess what result you're going to get in terms of how they perceive you. They're going to perceive you as the a-hole, and they're going to continue to ghost you, and you're going to continue to perceive them as these ghosting biatches, and you're never going to get anywhere. So you got to be able to say, okay, that was a bad girl, that was a bad experience, that didn't go right. Maybe take some responsibility, say, what did I do that might have encouraged that ghosting, or what would have led to that, and then move on.com, go to the next one, and try not to take any bitterness into the next thing, because if you do that, then it's just going to poison everything you do going forward.
It's going to be Halloween all year round.
Spitting today. Sci-Fi Gene says, I've been following this trial closely through various sources, and I think the judge was biased. Plus, the judge gave weird instructions to the jury.
Yeah, right. I think a lot of people were biased. And I was thinking at the outset of this whole thing, it would be impossible to get an impartial jury in a case like this. It would be impossible to get jurors who totally have, no sort of feeling towards what's going on right now. So with that alone, how could you do this and have it be just an unjust unjust way of doing things. It just doesn't make sense to me. And of course, I think they were probably extremely strategic with who was in what position of power during this whole proceeding.
Yeah, I mean, the Soros-funded DA, Alvin Bragg, ran on saying, I'm going to get Trump. I've sued him 100 times. I'm going to prosecute him.
Yeah.
The jury selection happened in Manhattan. 95% Democrat voted against Trump. So who do you think is going to be selected as the jurors? So many things that the judge had multiple opportunities to say, hey, this is not a proper use of these different prosecution tactics and whatnot, had multiple opportunities to do that and declined to do so. And a good counterexample to that was there was a deal cut by the Biden DOJ for Hunter Biden that was way too sweet, way too friendly with all the things that he was involved in with the Ukraine money and all this sleazy stuff. And a judge was like, this deal is way too sweet. You can't let him off that easy. That is a miscarriage of justice. That's the judge's job, is to step in when people are not abiding by the law, not going and doing things according to how they're supposed to in the legal process. And this judge had nothing to say about it. So, yeah, you're right. And I think free-thinking people just look at the situation and it's obvious what's going on. That's not an exoneration of Trump's character, personality, or anything like that. But in this narrow question of, was this a just trial? Was it properly executed on the merits? Was there due process? Was it, just blind justice? I think it's pretty self-evident to everybody that just no.
I think not.
Well, I think not. Celtic Blacksmith says, I may agree with Dennis Quaid, but in the interest of consistency, he's just an actor. Actors/musicians have zero influence on my political opinions.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. There should be, I guess, pretty few people within that realm that have that much of a stake in how you create your opinions and what you do going forward. It's always interesting to hear a new perspective, but that is, something to remember. Some actors are going to be very fruitful with what they can say and the perspective that they can provide and maybe educate you and have you see it from a different perspective. Others won't. They're just people at the end of the day.
Anisha says, I would like Hollywood to mind its own business and stay out of politics, but I guess that's wishful thinking. Not going to shoe store to buy cheese either.
Yeah, it is very wishful thinking. We're going to do, as I said, a whole video tomorrow about Hollywood staying out of politics in their storytelling and how they can't manage to do that. And people like George R. Martin and George Lucas are coming forward and saying, please stop. Please just let a good story be a good story. So we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow.
John Jackson Greiger says virtually all movies have weird rational flaws. You only notice them if the movie is bad. LOL.
That is true. That is true. And Parent Trap was good. At least when I was a kid, I loved that movie. I've watched it a few times in adulthood, and I just know it's just such a nostalgia core, that you can't hate it. So yeah, you don't notice the logical inconsistencies unless you're truly looking for them.
Yeah, I recently watched Braveheart with my wife, which won Oscar, by the way, in 1994 or 5, I think it was, for Best Picture, Best Director. But watching it again with a more critical eye, especially with my wife, who reads a ton of fiction, ton of books, and is very familiar with storytelling and all this stuff, she wasn't super into it, wanted to fast forward through the action sequences and all this stuff. And it was a little watching it back, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit kitschy at times, a little cringe here and there. But watching it when I was younger, and I guess it still got it if I just let myself get immersed in it. It has that movie magic and you get swept up in the narrative. And now I've studied a little bit of Scottish history and I know there's inconsistencies and they wouldn't have been wearing kilts at that time and all these different things. Right. And my rational mind's like, this can't be right. But you got to just take it off and enjoy it and enjoy the storytelling. And as long as there's what I can't get over is when there's messaging, when there's political agenda, when there's stuff in a film, then it's okay, you're just preaching at me now. It's one thing to suspend disbelief for the sake of telling a better story and creating the movie magic. It's another thing to just craft everything to preach at me. And I'm out at that point. Then I notice everything.
Man, I tried to watch, what did I watch? This is not about political messaging in movies, but I watched for the first time Anchorman this year. Worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to be so honest with you. I know a lot of y'all love Anchorman. I was walking into this movie thinking, This is going to be so fun. Like, everybody loves Anchorman. It's iconic. Will Ferrell was just doing his whole Anchorman impression thing at the Tom Brady roast or whatever. That was the worst movie I have ever witnessed. It was so bad. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about it. Because I thought it was going to be good. I really did.
Not classy San Diego. No.
Not classy San Diego.
I'm in a glass case of emotion after that.
It was very bad. I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry to say that.
I'm not one of these, like, that was not near my favorite Will Ferrell movie, but I didn't think it was, like, horrendous. But that's interesting. But you've had some interesting texts, like The Dark Knight. You hated Batman's voice. You're like, I can't get over it. It ruined the whole movie for you.
Yes, it's so awful. Oh, the Batman voice. Yes, I was cringing every single time he did the Batman voice. That is so true. I forgot about that. And now that I'm reminded, I'm reliving the cringe that I experienced in the Batman voice. Oh my gosh.
We need to like collect all of Amala's really hot movie takes and just roast her for them.
Yeah,
and tell her
maybe I'll do a video
her taste
on
is.
it. Oh my gosh.
To each their own, right?
Charlize
Theron. I was trying to think of a new one. It's hard to do on the fly. So Celtic Blacksmith, help us out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Crystal P says, "Hey Amala, hey Taylor, I'm finally catching Alive. Part 1, about your thoughts about glorifying killers. Do you think we do? It won't let me type very much. I think we're just trying to learn about them."
Glorifying killers? What do you mean? Like a Ted Bundy
how
type
Netflix
thing?
made that Dahmer documentary or
That is
show
so
or
funny
like
that you mentioned that, because we just finished watching the Dahmer series, the fictionalized Dahmer series on Netflix, starring Evan Peters, which I love Evan Peters. He did a really good job in the role. Yeah, I don't know. There is a glorification of a lot of these things. I mean, like if you look at true crime podcasts or whatever, I don't think people are listening to true crime because they want to learn more about like what a criminal looks like or whatever. And like women will say, oh, I listen to it because it teaches me, you know, like safety protocols and things and how to look out for signs like that. Oh, you're listening to it for more than that. You're interested in this stuff. But I don't know if it's glorification. I think it's a general interest in like the horrible things that human beings are capable of. And we have... some of us, not all of us, because I'll tell you, most of me watching it was me with the covers over my face. But some of us have like a natural inclination towards wanting to know more about like the awful things that humans do, because it's so outside of our realm of reason that we just want to know like what makes a person capable of these things. I think glorification is a strong word, but of course you do have the people who like write them when they're in prison and send them gifts and stuff, and that glorification is the right word for those kind of people.
Yeah, I love true crime stuff, and my wife and I just started watching we're a little late on it, but the Jinx, the Robert Durst story and documentary. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's a crazy one. I recommend checking that out after Dahmer. But my whole theory on this is like, you know, it's kind of like a deep psychological take, but in the same way that like you put a cat in a house or room it hasn't been in before, it's scared, it hides, and then after everything's quiet and nobody moves for a while, then it'll poke its head out, it'll start to circle around the room, it'll explore the space, get familiar with it, and now that the unknown has become known, okay, I can operate freely in it. And like psychologically, when you see a human being who's capable of something that is totally outside of your paradigm, that's totally unknown to you, you're like, it messes with your whole view of your idea and sense of safety in the world and ability to navigate it without like feeling afraid to go outside. Not literally, but you know, like just on a psychological level, there's like this, I think that morbid curiosity that we have about killers and the criminal mind comes from just this, like, how does one capable of do that? And because that also is a threat to me, and I don't feel comfortable or free to go out into the world and live my life knowing that there's these threats that I don't understand out there. So we watch those things, or we're driven to watch them out of this like psychological need to make the unknown known and kind of understand the criminal mind a little bit better, so that we feel more at peace with, okay, well now at least I understand some of the parameters of how they operate and how to keep myself safe and things like that.
That's valid.
So that's my psychological theory on what motivates us to watch it on kind of like this subconscious level.
We need to uncover more. We need to know more. We need to figure it out. Also, F Netflix for what they did with that Dahmer series, because the whole time I'm watching this Dahmer series, I'm like looking up the characters, trying to confirm some of the story here. almost none of it is accurate, it feels like. They did this whole episode that is meant to be like a tribute to one of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, where they show his relationship with Jeffrey, and he was a deaf man. And they depict this guy as having been in a relationship, and a quite loving, kind relationship with Jeffrey Dahmer up until they get into his death and the murder. I look it up and like, this is not true. Apparently, this guy didn't even know Jeffrey Dahmer before they killed him. So, like, you're trying to virtue signal as, like, we're truly giving voice to the victims in this fictional series by depicting this and showing it. And you're, in fact, not telling the truth at all. Also, Niecy Nash, who's in that story, who was the next door neighbor that called the police on Jeffrey Dahmer, is a real woman they used her real name. She didn't live next door to Jeffrey Dahmer. She lived like in the apartment building down the street from him and made one phone call about one of his victims who ended up dying anyways. So it's like, how can you take that much creative liberty over a real life story with real people's names, some of whom are not even alive anymore, to like defend the story or stand by or confirm the things you're saying about them, and you're completely fictionalizing real victims, and you have like the families of these people who were killed by Jeffrey Dahmer saying Netflix didn't call or ask me anything about this series. The way that they've depicted my son is inaccurate. The way that they depicted my uncle, my nephew, is inaccurate. That is crazy to me, that they're like putting out this like based on a true story fictionalized series, and you're taking so much liberty in rewriting the storyline and the background of Jeffrey Dahmer's life, his victims, all this stuff. Insane to me that people are watching this and thinking that this is anywhere near close to accurate as to what happened. But that's just my little side piece. Sorry, I had to come after Netflix on that one.
Let her cook. Let her cook. What do you have to say to that, Netflix?
Yeah, what the hell? Oh
yeah,
my
I know.
gosh.
It's like, the truth is crazy enough. Like, you don't have to embellish it, or like, I get like certain things like streamlining for the sake of storytelling. Like you know, famously they cut out Tom Bombadil in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, and that was a big thing for, you know, purists were mad at. But it's like, it makes sense why you would maybe leave that out of when you're trying to get through the story. But like major alterations or like disrespecting real people that are still alive today, that's a little messed up, man.
Yeah,
just
crazy.
Be accurate. Anyway, we got some more to get through, so
Yes,
we're going to
let's
keep moving. Man of the Hour says, Amala, why didn't you go with Risa to the Avril concert? Forgot to say this earlier. I'm about to become the Latino Myron out here. Tired of the BS.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, Risa goes to a lot of concerts. We go to some together. We mainly go to like Doja Cat. We went to Nicki Minaj, which was the worst concert I've ever been to in my life. Shout out to Nicki. Had to put that out there. Yeah, no, she went with her friend Robin to the Avril concert, which follow Robin on TikTok. She makes like these server TikToks that are so funny. Also follow Risa on TikTok. Shout out to both of them. But no, I'm sure she had a good time. Next time.
Alex, chill out. What you yelling for, dude? I don't understand. Becca McWhorter says the newest Pride flag is a perfect representative of what's up in that scene. Literally only a tiny section remains. Also, our Canadian government sucks. Help.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Canadian thing. And also the pride flag thing. It's so crazy that the pride flag is like such a mess that it actually is a depiction of what's going on within the community and all the different problems.
80s Game Guy says a lot of Walmart corporate employees who work remotely in San Francisco will choose to depart before being made to relocate to Arkansas headquarters in October.
Huh. I don't know anything about that.
I do know that Walmart is like based in Bentonville, Arkansas, and that's where it originated. And like every vendor that sells products in Walmart has to have an office physically in Bentonville. And they're like very big on like making people be in Arkansas.
Gotcha.
So it surprises me that they even have a San Francisco office, but that's interesting. I guess he's pointing this out because of the Pride
Right,
stuff.
right. But, interesting. Huh.
Yeah. R_ is writing says, hello, Amala and Taylor. I know Taylor plays Halo. Just wondering if you cover some gaming, just wondering, since you cover some gaming, if you play any video games, Amala.
I don't play any video games ever. You'll never catch me playing video games ever. I don't know. I've just never been interested in
but
video
they're
games.
So tailored to your sex and representative of women these days.
That's right. I would be awful if I tried to play video games, just to let you guys know. But no. Stay away from them.
We thought about having an Amala stream of playing video games at one point.
It would just be so disastrous. Just imagine,
which is probably funny, but
it's funny for how long though? It's probably funny for like the first 5 minutes, but just imagine a 2-year-old trying to play Fortnite and that's what you would get. And that's only funny for 5 minutes max. There's just no development though that's going to happen. There's no progress to be made.
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition because y'all come to Amala for the razor sharp commentary and intellect and stuff, and to see her just like
completely eat shit playing video games. Yeah, absolutely not.
I don't know how long that would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Shiloh from Alaska says New York is messed up. A report came out saying that 7,800 of retail thefts have been done by the same 500 people, but they won't jail them, but they'll jail the president. Seems slanted.
Yeah, it is very slanted. Like I said, you got career criminals just being constantly born and bred out there, and nothing's being done. And I'm not surprised by that stat at all if it is true, because of course, you learn to do something, you're reinforced positively by not getting in trouble, so you're just going to continue to do it, and you'll up the ante and create higher stakes for yourself and never get in trouble.
Yeah, so I heard someone say, like, Trump famously said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away, or people would still support him or whatever. And they're like, yeah, and then you could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and you wouldn't get put in jail anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
On bail immediately.
So you're just like everybody else.
With the same DA that's prosecuting him now over misfiling paper 7 years ago. Oh dear. Guillermo de Chico says in the gaming community, 90% are leftists.
Yeah, 90% maybe behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
People making the games. There are a lot. Like, it's like the Reddit sort of crew that are surprisingly left leaning. I think there are a lot, but how's that working out for y'all with your industry? Trey Bannon says, just wanted to thank you both for making such a dejecting day enjoyable. I'll step away from the edge slightly. Also, hi to all the feds in the chat.
Don't touch me, because I am close to the edge. What song is that? I don't know. You guys will put it in the chat down below.
I thought of Linkin Park. Everything you say to me takes me one step closer to the edge.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay, step away from the edge, Trey.
Yeah. There's also
Stop
Creed.
edging, Trey.
Hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking maybe 6 feet ain't so far down. All that. Just stay off the edge.
Gosh.
We're glad to talk to you.
Yes, please.
Anisha says, as a female gamer of color, I feel the gaming industry is ruined. Please give me back my original Assassin's Creed.
I know. See, just give the people what they want, please. They're over it. We're fed up.
Isn't it misogynistic that you have to play as a man if you want to play that game?
Right. Just nuts.
Becca McWhorter again says, I would 100% support a Mamala president and a vice president Tay-Tay.
It's just not happening, guys.
Mamala 2024. Put that on a
Mamala
t-shirt.
2024. Yeah.
Where's Mamala 24?
Mamala of the country. 24. Yeah, Mamala 24.
Love that. I'm actually, for a couple more years, still not old enough to run, and I will take that.
There you go. Yeah.
Stand by it.
Yeah, keep our youth.
The Uralic tribe says, no, Rainbow Month around the corner again. The rainbow was originally created by God with 7 colors as a symbol of promise to never flood the world again, but they took it and made it with 6 colors. Well, I didn't know about the 6 versus 7.
We might disagree on the logistics of how the rainbow was created, but you know what? I can get behind the sentiment. Bring back the rainbow.
High Q says, when liberals created cancel culture, you thought it would never apply to you. Now you have weapons in the legal system. Why do liberals not learn?
Oh yeah, there's always, there's always more people to get canceled. We'll see. Soon they will be knocking on the door. We're chilling though. We haven't been canceled yet. I'm surprised. Well, I don't know why we haven't been canceled yet on this program, but we've really actually flown under the radar. Maybe it's because we're sort of moderate on this program, but we've been doing pretty good.
Yeah, we had a strike on the channel for a minute and just got that expired. So
COVID strike, yeah.
Clean living.
We are living clean, living like Larry.
Lashan, I don't know, says he can and will appeal just as Trump did with them trying to get him off the ballot. Yeah. I can and I can believe the Supreme Court will see the errors.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when I read the headlines that he was found guilty. I was like, okay, appeal. But the appeal process can take a really long time. Obviously, this is like a super huge case, so maybe it's expedited in that sense, but it'd be interesting to watch what happens, what unfolds.
Yeah, and I saw more information about how just the timing of this suit, and this case was handled very quickly, like within 400-day span, I believe, relative to like less complicated cases with less expensive lawyers that Trump had, stretched out much longer, like over 2 years. And so that's a little sketchy that they like rush this through. The timing of bringing it against him, the alleged crime, the statute of limitations was already expired. They could have prosecuted it a couple years ago, several years ago, and chose not to. So they chose to do it in a way that it fell on an election year, the conviction in the months leading up to an election, just super sus. And then of course he won't be able to appeal until after the election. So he won't be able to be vindicated until after the election. So all of that. And I read also that like the nature of the charges against him, like the defenses that he could mount legally against the charges that are being brought, work at the appeal level better than in like the trial court level. So all those things working against him, just more and more trumped up nonsense that are happening.
Sketchy.
Here.
Suspicious.
So Nicodemus says, I meant that your content is important because you bring an honest point of view and criticism towards both sides of politics without any lobbies or agendas holding you back, just your own opinion.
Oh, thanks, Nicodemus. We appreciate that. Yeah, we try to keep it real with y'all.
We're independent.
Yeah.
That's the great thing.
We are.
Can't be bought.
Can't be bought.
We're talking to a sponsor soon. We had a sponsor that was like, we'll pay y'all to, do this and that. It wasn't anything bad, but I was like, no.
Yeah.
I just want to be independent.
I hate watching YouTube videos and then they're like, oh, buy this mattress or buy this skincare. I'm like, if we're going to do that, it has to be something that really, I feel like will impact you guys. Like it will be actually something helpful, not like, I don't know, AG1 greens or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, I think we're one of the few channels right now that maybe doesn't do that. But, if something truly impactful that was helpful came around, then maybe. But so far, nope.
Keeping it real for y'all.
Keeping it real.
Timothy W. says, happy Friday, Mamala and Papala.
Mamala and Papala.
Happy Friday again. I just got back from going to the beach and sunbathing on Flagler Avenue in New Smyrna Beach, and then a bunch of beachy emojis.
I don't know where
New Smyrna Beach is.
It's in Florida.
It is?
Yes, New Smyrna Beach. I used to go there a lot. It's about an hour away from where I used to live, if that. So yeah, New Smyrna is nice. I used to do the not safe thing to do. And in high school, I would go to the beach at night with my best friend, and we would go there at like 11 p.m. midnight and just like chill on the shore of the beach, get in the water a little bit. Not safe, but we did that a lot.
Wow.
It was a different time. It was a different time 6 years ago.
So young, so naive.
Yep.
Yeah, I miss the beach. That's the one thing, being landlocked here in Nashville. So many advantages.
Mm-hmm.
I did play beach volleyball last night, but it was at a dive bar called the Rusty Nail with a beach volleyball court behind it.
The Rusty Nail. That's a name.
I know, it sounds like somehow SpongeBob, like the chum bucket. And
come on down to the Rusty Nail.
Yeah,
wow.
Real classy.
Yeah,
really
no.
high stakes.
Sounds like somewhere you go exclusively to bar fight.
It feels like that walking in. I have to walk through the bar on the way to the court in the back, and it's a little scary sometimes, but it's also kind of awesome.
Love that.
Let's see. Kwazakule Mfeka says, hi guys, not sure if you've noticed by now, but Based Quasi here is your biggest fan, LOL. I don't recognize Pride Month, but I do recognize Amala Month.
Wow. What month is it though?
June.
Is it June? Do I share it with Pride Month? In that case, we can have months, so long as they're for me. No, I'm kidding. We don't need it. We don't need an Amala Month either, although I appreciate the sentiment. And Kwazakule, real recognize real. Yeah, we know you're an OG on this channel.
Celtic Blacksmith says, cracks knuckles to each their own. Obese gnome. You're welcome.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Obese gnome.
Obese
Wow.
gnome. We'll always find something that rhymes.
CLJ says, bad tank on Anchorman, unsubscribed.
You know what? I'm so sorry. It was a bad movie, and I can explain why, but we don't have time for that. It was just a bad movie. It's so bad.
Sad.
Sorry, guys.
Crystal P says, put perfectly, Taylor. That's really cool perspective. Thanks for the discussion, y'all.
I think they're talking about everything you've ever said.
Murder documentary thing.
Okay, I was gonna say just
But
everything. Just everything Taylor
my
says.
ramblings.
Yeah.
LaShawn again says, it's apparent that logic reasoning is absent for finding truth in any social media, news, and movie documentary content.
It feels that way now. I'm like, damn, y'all really dramatized this. Y'all put the drama in dramatized because they really added some elements that, honestly, how is anybody okay with, taking that much of a leap in the story?
No comprende. And I believe that was our last one from LaShawn. So thank you all for your lovely super chats. Great to hear from you.
Yes.
And have a great weekend.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for your 2 cents. And do please have a great weekend. I'm going to be chilling at home with Charlie. We'll bring him back on the stream hopefully next week. We'll bring Charlie back on the stream at a time where he doesn't start pooping and peeing in the studio as soon as I set him down, which might take a little while as he is a puppy. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time we're live. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. Plus, we post videos for you guys every day. As I said, tomorrow's video, we're talking about George Lucas and George R.R. Martin and John Musker, who are all very prominent men within Hollywood who are calling out the new storytelling or lack of storytelling that's happening in today's day and age. So keep an eye out. Can't wait for you guys to see it. Again, have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.